In the previous visual essay that focused on the Joy Luck Club, we focused on themes surrounding the expectations that immigrant Chinese mothers have for their daughters due to the insurmountable difficulties they have gone through in the past. Wayne Wong's 1,000 Years of Good Prayers details the strained relationship between father, Mr. Shi, and his daughter, Yulan. Yulan lives in Spokane, Washington. At first sight, she seems like the average American in her 30s. However, viewers also soon come to realize that she is grappling with her own troubled past. Although Mr. Shi has come to the States to visit his daughter and keep her company, there is still a barrier between them. In this particular scene, Mr. Shi goes into his daughter's bedroom, trying to understand this new Americanized version of his daughter. It's quite clear in this scene that he has clearly lost grips with communicating with Yulan. Mr. Shi finds an unlikely friend in an Iranian woman on one of his park strolls. Through broken English and hand gestures, the two form an unlikely bond with each other. The film beautifully explores the unforeseen complications that often come with multi-generational Asian families.
Down, sleep, 17 years. Come up, sing.
In this scene, Mr. Shi and Yulan barely speak to each other. The tension builds up as they eat dinner. Both of them know full well that Mr. Shi has overstayed his own daughter's welcome, as she clearly feels uncomfortable striking up a random conversation with him. In the penultimate scene, the two have an argument considering Yulan's affair with Boris. However, it's also made clear that they are having an argument more about their own tumultuous relationship rather than the actual affair.
即便如此，一个安分的女人也不应该这么晚回家嘛。
我是个离了婚的女人，在你的概念里，恐怕早就是个不安分的女人了吧。
The importance of telling such a film was that it seemed more personal. Wong cared more about them. Telling the story between father and daughter hit close to home, as Wong was able to bring some of his own personal perspective on what it feels like to grow up with traditional Chinese parents into this movie. After having focused on studio films for quite a few years, Wong decided to move back into his indie roots with this particular film. He believed that this was an important move in his career. In an interview with IFC magazine, he says, "I grew up Chinese in a British colony and then came to America, so it comes very naturally for me rather than trying to figure out a cultural identity." In the previous visual essay, Wedding Banquet, we talked about how sex and marriage are rituals that continue a family name. However, in Eat, Drink, Man and Woman, which is the last movie of Ang Lee's father and son trilogy, he intends to examine the father and daughter dynamic and what role that food culture plays in Chinese families. As a Chinese-born American immigrant, Ang Lee had always wanted to establish himself as a Chinese director. Before 37, Ang Lee's major responsibility is to bring up his children and study movies. Therefore, he went back to Taiwan and made this movie to reflect part of his early life and his relationship with the father. Eat, Drink, Man and Woman revolves around a single-parent family in Taipei. Mr. Chu has 3 daughters, Jia Zhen, Jia Chen, and Jia Ning. Jia Zhen is a school teacher who believes in Christianity. Jia Ning, as the youngest daughter, is still in school. And Jia Chen is a successful businesswoman, and she is the one who finds that Mr. Chu loses a sense of taste.
还是味觉退化了。
我的舌头好得很。
As how Ang Lee depicts a typical Chinese father in Wedding Banquet, Mr. Chu had a successful career before his retirement, and he was invited to the former restaurant for emergencies or crucial events. His daughter respects him with awe, and he has absolute voice in his workplace. However, Mr. Chu becomes enveloped in an awkward situation in the family as the daughters grow up. Every child seems to have their own life, and he is sort of isolated. To unite this family back together, Mr. Chu asks his daughter to come for a family banquet every Sunday night, but even that can't prevent his daughters from leaving the family. First, the youngest sister, Jia Ning, makes a new boyfriend and becomes pregnant, so she decides to leave and have a new family. Second, Jia Jian, the elder sister, finds her true love and gets married without telling anyone, even the father. In the family banquet, Mr. Chu decides to leave and tell everyone a secret. He announces to the whole family that he has fallen in love with the neighbor, Jing Rong, who divorced and has a young child not long ago. The whole family is in astonishment, and everyone leaves with a complex feeling. He says,
其实一家人住在一个屋檐下，照样的可以各过各的日子。可是从心里产生那种顾忌，才是一家之所以为家的意义。
The family ritual no longer exists as a big family breaks up and everyone has their new small families. Food and sex are two basic elements in a person's life. Sex is how we multiply life, and food is how we sustain our life. It's interesting that Ong Ling utilizes Chinese food to explain his understanding of Chinese family rituals. Sweet, savory, bitter, spicy, and salty are the 5 basic tastes of Chinese food. Cooking is how people combine and match these tastes in a perfect way. Tasting and eating the feast at the table stands for a reunion in the family. However, not every time people are able to successfully combine these tastes, just like the reunion is not always perfect.